Hello again, welcome back to MasterCAM courses. In that lecture we're gonna talk about the finishing process. So I'm gonna turn back to the mill toolpath and 3D high-speed toolpath, and then I'm gonna focus on the waterline process. So we can use the right mouse button to select entities, and then we can select all of them like this one. Okay, and then we can turn to the toolpath control to select our boundary. So this is going to be my boundary, and then we can turn to the tool. This tool can be selected. I can select my feed rate and my cutting speed, and then let's talk about actually and the cut parameters. Of course, before that, let me turn back to model geometry here, and then I'm gonna make this 0. This is the wall stock, and then let me turn to the here. This is the actually conventional machining, and we can prefer to use the zigzag as an open contour direction, and then we can see and click to optimize cut order, and then this is gonna be my the step down process. We can also add cuts here, actually that's possible. And then let me turn to the linking parameters. It can be absolute 5, and then that's actually final. And then let me hit OK button to see my waterline toolpath. Yeah, it's created like this. You know that there is some degree here, so that's why we're gonna see that's kind of toolpath here for our actually contour toolpath. Maybe we should turn to parameters. And after that we can turn to the model geometry, and then maybe we should write here 0.2 millimeter and the wall stock here, and then we can recalculate our toolpath. And after that actually we can turn to the parallel line toolpath. Okay, this is my finishing process actually, and waterline is calculated. Okay, let me turn to the here, right mouse button, mill toolpath, surface high-speed toolpath, and then we can use raster toolpath. And then let me select my face. This is my dry face. All of them can be selected. And then this is the toolpath control. We can turn to the here to organize our boundary, and let me create my tool. It can be 10 millimeter tool, can be selected here. And then let me turn to the cut parameters. I can prefer to use the zigzag method. This is my step over, can be actually 5 millimeter for the calculation section. After that we can turn to the real step over, of course. This is the scallop height, is calculated automatically according to my tool diameter and my step over. And then let me turn to here. We can organize our the cutting area. We're gonna start from the 0 to the 90 degree. Okay, we can also organize depth position to our the raster toolpath. All of them can be calculated. Let me make them as a 5, and then we can calculate our toolpath. Our toolpath is calculated like this. Okay, this is the perfect toolpath, I think, like this one. If you think that everything seems fine, and you can turn to the parameters, and cut parameters, and then you can make your step over as a 0 point and the 15 millimeter, and then you can also see the high speed and loops here, and you can also see the scallop height here. It is calculated and according to actually your and step over. Okay, that's fine. This is our finishing process. And as a final actually, and you can select all that faces. Actually, let me turn to the color selection here. I can click here to select all that. Oops, that's not my color. I can click here to select all that color, and then we can use the right mouse button, and then we can hit the level options and activate some level. It can be 2, and then we can turn to the level on the operation manager, and then we can unselect them, and then we can turn to the toolpath operations again to create our actually pocket toolpath or contour toolpath for this area. So we are working on the 3D. Let me focus on here, and then let me analyze that radius. Oops, this is another spline basis. Let me create some point here. And here, and after that we can turn to the actually dynamic point options and create this one, and then we can delete my actually spline, and then let me create my arc. According to my arc, my radius, it can be calculated as a 5 millimeter radius. Okay, so that's cool. 5 millimeter radius is okay, so it means that we can use the 10 millimeter tool for this area. Okay, let me also consider that distance. Yeah, 5 millimeter. Anyway, after that I can delete this one, and then let me create my curve. So by the contour toolpath, actually it's not so important to use the nerve spline. Of course, it's if you don't want to see any spline here, you can delete them, and then you can create your the fill lot here actually. Okay, anyway, that's okay. I'm gonna turn back to the mill toolpath and contour toolpath, and then let me start from here. Oops, let me turn back to here. Maybe we should have some problem here. Is there any problem? No. Anyway, let me turn to here and contour toolpath. Yeah, I think there must be some problem here because of the spline, maybe. Okay, anyway, let me delete that toolpath. Actually, this is, yeah, that must be line. Let me check. This is the line properties. Okay, let me delete this one, this one, this one, and this one. Let me delete all of them. Yeah, that must be double line here. Yeah, I can handle it. Let me turn to do here, and we can delete all of them as well. And then we can turn to create our fillet operation. And it can be 10 millimeter fillet starting from here to here, here to here, and here to here, and here to here. And then we can hit the OK button. And after that, we can turn to the chain selection. I think there must be another problem with that line. Yeah, you know that actually when you are working with your solid model, and you can see that kind of stuff. Anyway, let me turn to the transform and mirror. I can turn to the chain selection. Let me delete here. I don't understand the problem here. Anyway. And then let me turn to the transform and the mirror. Okay, I can copy that line here. And then let me turn back to my toolpath. We can create new geometry. We can use the partial and the weight selection. We can start from here, you know that. And if you can see some problems here, yeah, you know that there must be some problems here. You know that that's kind of problems can be seen here. You know, yeah, you should handle that. And I can turn to the dynamic trim and the two entities. We can select this one and this one. Okay, we can also select this one and this one, this one and this one, this one and this one, this one and this one. Okay, after that, let me turn back to here. We can select this geometry and delete them. Yeah, after that, let me check by using the chain. Yeah, all of them is selected except this part. Let me turn to here. This is the two entities selected right now, and this one and this one. Okay, let me turn to here, chain selection. Yeah, there must be some problem with this line. Yeah, it's ready right now. Okay, it's fine. And after that, I'm gonna turn back to the mirror options. I can copy my chain, and then let me turn to the here and add my new geometry. this one, and this one is selected. So finally, and then we can turn to here, and then we can activate our parameters. This is contour toolpath with the 10 millimeters diameter. Let me turn to the linking parameters. I'm gonna turn back to the here, and this is the absolute 5 millimeter, and then this is the fit plane, actually incremental with 1, incremental with 0, and incremental this is the absolute or incremental is not important, so we can select this one. This is the -70 is absolute. So, and after that, let me turn to the lead-in process. It can be 20% of to my tool diameter, and then we can activate it as a 2 millimeter as a depth cut, and then we can calculate it. Of course, we can also change the our and the cut parameters. It can be right side, and then we're gonna see that kind of toolpath, as you can see here. Okay, maybe we should change our lead in and lead out process. It can be 10% of and my tool diameter, and it is calculated right now, as you can see. Okay, so that's fine. This is the final operations, and after that maybe we should also turn to here. After the face and contour toolpath, we can turn to the 2D and with the position of the 0, and then we can turn to here to create our drilling process. We can turn to the curve on edge options and select this one, this one, this one, and this one, and all that point is projected here, and then we can create our drilling process as a final drilling process. Yeah, that's drilling process actually must be before our roughing process, otherwise we cannot create our drilling process. So I'm gonna turn back to here. Okay, it can be 10 millimeters or something. Okay, after that we can change it. Anyway, let's make them 10 millimeter, and then this is the actually, let me turn to the here linking parameters. You're gonna start from the 5, depth of stock 0, and this is my depth. It can be -70, and then this is the cut parameters. This is the normal drilling process, and then we're gonna see that's kind of drilling process. So let me analyze my and the diameter. It can be 15 millimeter. Okay, it's not so important. You can easily change that stuff. Anyway, this is the final process. Okay, so let me turn back to save options, and then simulation. You're gonna see all the stuff is calculated here. That is because of my actually tool diameter. Anyway, let me turn back to here. We can turn to the tool section. This is my tool, and edit my tool, and it can be 50 millimeter. Okay, so we can organize that can be like this. Oops. So this is my overland, and can be like this, cutting length, and can be like this one. Okay, so that can be like this. Okay, so after that you cannot see that kind of stuff. That is all about simulation. Actually, you cannot change your and G code by changing your tool diameter. Yeah, and after that maybe we should start and stop our simulation, and then we just need to hit that button to see the final solution. Actually, it is calculated right now, and end of the section we're gonna see the all operation and the final product. So let me turn back to here. This is the raster toolpath. We're gonna make them 0. It is calculated right now. And we can also turn to the here to make them 0.25. And then let me recalculate my toolpath. Yeah, all of them is calculated. Let me save my file and then turn back to and simulation and verification. Okay, let me start it and then stop and then hit that button to see the final solution. We also need to change the floor stock. Actually it can be 0. It can be 0.5 for floor. Yeah, it's perfect. We can see all the solution can be seen here. Yeah, after that maybe you can also add some waterline toolpath and for that process. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for listening to me. I really appreciate your interest.